Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for that kind introduction. As said, I'm Tara.
And I'm Susan.
And we are the co-founders of Here We Flow. So today we're excited to speak to you about how we have biofueled a Fempire and how we make magic from life's messiest moments. So a little flow of the morning. We'll start off introducing ourselves, share a bit about the origin story, and then give the ABCs of feminist marketing: partnerships, education, and our favorite F words. We're all about the F at Here We Flow. So, and then bringing the drama, the period drama, a case study of our No More Period Dramas campaign. And then tips and takeaways. And then absolutely would love your questions. One of our favorite parts about these events and speaking is just getting to interact with you guys and opening up the conversation. Okay, so can everybody hear me and see okay? Is me or my enormous belly blocking any of the slides? No? Okay. Okay, so it all started for us in a university bathroom in London. Susan and I moved to the UK to do our master's at the London School of Economics. And Susan was super inspired by all these classes that we were taking about businesses and their case studies. And she said, you know what? We should start a business. We should start the Feminist Mafia. And I was this like Californian vegan hippie with half my head shaved, always hanging around this area way before it was cool. No, it's always been cool.
You see that she's actually a hipster.
Yeah.
Like
grown out of it a little bit, but drinking all the kombucha and the almond milk and talking about regenerative farming. And so I was really excited about this idea. And Susan was working for a nonprofit, a global philanthropy, leading diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so we brought all of this together in that bathroom conversation. And I said, you know what's really hard for me to find? It's really hard for me to find organic period care on the mass market. I can go into Whole Foods in California, or I can go into Planet Organic in London, or a small health shop, but that's not really how people shop for their periods, right? You get your period, you run out to the off-license convenience store, etc. If you desperately need it, you can go to a petrol station, whatever you need to do, or it's part of your weekly shop. So I said, we really need to have that kind of approach. And those products should be available. Basically, at the time, for your intimate health, and this really affected female health, you were stuck with the 3 T's: Tampax, Tenna, and in the States, Trojan for condoms here at Durex. And we wanted to change that. So we said, okay, let's do it. Let's create products that are affordable, accessible, adorable, and plant-based, and biofuel that Fempire. So that was the origin story. And then we did a little Kickstarter. We pre-sold about 6,000 units of the product, our hero product, which you can see us holding here, which is a biodegradable tub of applicator tampons with applicators made from sugarcane waste. And we started selling on our own. So we went into all the local shops in Hackney and Islington where we were living, and took these big IKEA bags of them and said, hey, do you want to buy 12 of these at a time? And they're like, yeah, sure, I need a receipt. And I was like, oh my God, of course you need a receipt. Let me write it out. And by hand.
Slap a Flo sticker on there.
Yeah, I put a Flo sticker on it to make it look more official, all of that stuff. And that was the first 2 years of the business. From 2017 to 2019, we really just side hustled it, worked in a coffee shop, did all that kind of thing on its own. And the idea, the real mission behind what we were doing was, we wanted to create these plant-based products that were sustainable swaps for all the messy moments that we have in life. And those messy moments are, fast and fast and thick if it's relating to female health. So we say that our mission at Here We Flow is shamelessly natural care for life's messiest moments, those plant-based swaps for every day. And that vision that we're working to create in the world is a world where people feel shameless, where they feel crazy confident and empowered about all of life's messiest moments. And one way that Susan puts this is, we want to make you laugh at your leaks, of which there are a lot through the many stages of owning a human body, and especially, again, a female body. So yeah, these are our two brands that tackle life's messiest moments. We've got our Flo Period Care brand, which you might have seen in Boots, Tesco, Holland & Barrett, Ocado, Superdrug, W.H. Smith, all of that kind of thing.
Can you tell she's our commercial lead?
And the RRP is. No. Yeah, so these are our Flow line tackles the leaks that come from periods or like bladder leaks and so on. So we use all the plant-based materials like organic cotton, organic bamboo. We're a climate neutral company. That's really important for us. And not just offsetting, but all the work that goes to making your supply chain green so that you don't have to do as much offsetting. That's really important for us. We work with our manufacturers to use renewable resources to power those manufacturers. So things like sugarcane waste, biofuel, or solar power. That's really something we've pushed from day one. And then our pads and liners are made from organic bamboo, and we use biodegradable ingredients in packaging, and we avoid petroleum-based plastics and fossil fuels wherever possible. And so we like to say at Here We Flow, sustainability is our MO. We love a pun, we love alliteration, we love anything that rhymes. So this is things like plants, not plastic. It's impossible for any company or any brand to be truly plastic-free, and we would never want to greenwash and say, oh yeah, it's like completely possible. No, because there's just in every aspect of the supply chain, it sneaks in, even if it's like tape, you know. So we try above all to work with all of our suppliers along every step of our supply chain to see how they're using plants and renewable resources and bioplastics made from renewable resources that break down in even a home compost. We work with regenerative farming initiatives. So regenerative rubber, we're a founding member of the Regenerative Rubber Initiative. And that's an amazing, amazing collective of farmers and producers and manufacturers who do have higher standards of traceability and transparency, you know, avoiding the traditional like commodity middleman who tells the farmers this is the price that you have to pay, and they don't know whether that's true all the time, and the plantations look like, you know, factories almost. We want to look in a more biodiverse way of operating. So one of those collectives that we're part of is the Regenerative Rubber Initiative for our condoms and other things. And then the second one is for regenerative cotton for our tampons, which we're now integrating into our supply chain. Climate neutral, carbon neutral. Again, for us, that's not just, okay, just like pay some company to offset your trees, but actually working with really specific projects that are working on United Nations development goals around gender equality and climate, as well as things like funding wind farms and so on, and then using our plant-based resources. So all of this means we're a B Corp. We achieved that last year, 109.9 points, and hoping to just keep increasing from there. So that's one of the world's highest in our categories. For example, we're the highest in both period care and sexual wellness in the US, and one of the highest here in the UK as well. So these are the do-gooders that we're proud to support. So 5% of our profits go to people and planet. We're a small business, so profitability is not always possible, but again, what's really important to us is that we make a commitment to our partners that will give you cash and products every month at this level, even if we're not profitable. So that's one way that we've had that relationship with our partners for years, because we knew it would take us a while to get to a place where we could regularly support with a 5%. And so really proud to work with, as our 3 primary partners, Bloody Good Period, who work to end period poverty. We were actually their very first partner, like corporate, we're not corporate, but company partner all those years ago. The Orchid Project, which is a global nonprofit that works to end female genital cutting. And then AKT, which works to end youth homelessness in the LGBTQ plus population. Really loved that initiative. And then some amazing organizations that we've supported in the States.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'll take it from here. We'll get into some marketing since we're at MadFest. This is what it's all about. And how we've used partnerships, education, and our favorite F words, which are funny, feminist, and fierce, not the ones you might have been thinking about, to really drive our marketing strategy. So our primary customer is who we lovingly call the Gen Zennial, and so they live on TikTok, and we love to be there with them, speaking to them in a language that they understand, really using humor to talk about these categories that tend to have a lot of shame and stigma. And as you can see, it's really an effective strategy in as well as being fun. Our reach is growing 141% month on month. We have 500,000 new views in the last 90 days, and so it's been a great way to sort of engage with that audience. We work with loads of creators that have period positive love, so you'll never see blue liquid in any of our marketing. We are using real blood, which is like cringe for some people, but Gen Z love it, what can I say? And so it's a great way to engage with them, and then always wanting to create content that is repostable and relatable. So not only driving the paid views, but also the organic views as well. And we love to bring the fun to the functional, always championing education, and we do that in a couple ways. So we have some examples here. This first one, we worked with the Eve Appeal, partnered with them on their Get Lippy campaign, really highlighting the gynae health cancers. With Tesco for the month of May, we donated 10% of our sales to the campaign, and we use that as an opportunity on socials to really highlight some of the symptoms of gynae cancers, which people might not recognize. So always trying to use that to sort of amplify this education. This second one here is one of my favorites. So this is C2C, where their partner, and this is one of the students from Gray's Convent. They have a competition every year, Thurrock's Next Top Boss, and they contacted us a year ago and said, hey, we want to do this project where we put a dispenser in our local train station to provide free period care. Can we use your products? And we're like, yeah, just let us know when you win. And they did win. C2C was so impressed with them that they actually bought 60 dispensers, put it throughout the whole train line, both the public-facing toilets and their staff bathrooms, and then bought 4 dispensers for the school as well. And it was just such an incredible experience. So this is them being interviewed in the restroom. We went and did a whole install day with them, but just for them to have that experience of taking an idea from fruition through to actual execution. And they're like 14 and 15 years old. So that was a really great way to encourage funny, feminist, and fierce entrepreneurship. And then, of course, we are a retail-led business, and so we love to use fun point of sale. And so this is our trays that we have in Boots, which has been an incredible partner, and they have quadrupled our distribution this year from 370 stores to over 1,500, so that's been incredible. But just using this opportunity to educate the consumer. While the Gen Zennial is our primary audience, the secondary is the parents that are buying for young Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and we always want to use that opportunity to educate them in store where they're shopping. We have 5 values as a business. The first, and I would argue the most important, is authentic self is our only self. And as our marketing lead, what I think is most important is that we always show up in a way that you can tell is Flo. Whether something flies or flops, I just want it to be authentic to who we are as a brand. which is why at the Gold Grocer Awards last night, where we won for Best Health and Beauty Brand. It's why I'm hiding the bags under my eyes right now.
That was a pretty shameless plug right there.
I learned from the best.
Okay.
No, but it's like I literally showed up in a Technicolor dream coat, basically, for black tie. But that's exactly from every part of the brand, just wanting to bring that joy and that color in whatever we do. And so these examples are here at trade shows or when we go and do sampling events at our, that's Boots HQ with our retail partners. And then this is one of the dispensers that we have in the US, just always showing up in a way that's really authentic to the brand is really important for us. And then we are a startup with tiny, I can verify, tiny marketing budgets always. And the way that we've been able to really use that as effectively as possible is leaning on brand partnerships with much larger brands. So this was our first massive one was partnering with Netflix on their show Sex Education. We did a co-branded product line. That is me up there in period pants, 4 months postpartum. But I'm a free model, guys. This is what I'm talking about, cutting costs. But that was really great, and I think for us was an opportunity that really legitimized us as a brand and sort of makes people assume we're a much larger brand than we actually are. But it was an incredible experience sort of going through that process, developing the products, getting everything signed off. I mean, it costs more than a few gray hairs for Tara, who's managing the production process, but an incredible opportunity. And then on the film side of things, we worked with Lionsgate on their premiere for Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret. And that was a really incredible experience because, as we love to do, we sort of leveraged our community of Flo Babes and reached out to them and asked them to share their Margaret moments, funny instances of them getting their first periods. And we chose our funniest and favorites and invited them with 3 guests to the premiere. And it just created this incredible like intergenerational audience. And so you had grandmothers that were saying, this is so different than what my experience was when I had my period. And they were there with their grandchildren. So that was really incredible. And then Polite Society, which is an incredible film. They've described it as Bend It Like Beckham means kick-ass. If you haven't seen it, you definitely should. But we were happy to be a partner with them. And again, did a special screening with influencers and invited members of the community as well. So that's the way we sort of use that to amplify our marketing on small budgets. And again, something that we've been doing lately and has been quite a theme throughout MadFest this year is really building brand love through sports partnerships. And this is really important, and I think a reason that they're paying attention to it is because 85% of girls drop out of sport when they get their period. And I think we're all working to really try to change that statistic. So this first one, we partnered with Nike. This is our in-house physician partner. She's an adolescent physician based in New York. And they actually flew her out for us to do interactive workshops on the menstrual cycle and tracking your period with 400 girls that are part of the Nike Football Club, as well as 600 parents and coaches that were with them. So it was a great opportunity to sort of like do that education and engagement and give out lots of samples and start to break up that shame and stigma at an early age. And then we also partnered with England Netball, and again, similar opportunity, sampling at Wembley, having that conversation with a Gen Z, Gen Alpha, as well as their parents. So really leveraging, again, those larger brands to reach a wider audience. And now to bring the period drama, this is sort of like our biggest investment at 360 marketing experience to date. So Sky Zero Footprint Fund, which I think sponsored like a tiki bar here last year, we were the inaugural winner of their Footprint Fund competition, which basically they want to encourage sustainable brands that they find are change makers in their category. And so the prize that we won was £1 million in ad spend, which gave us this unique opportunity to actually experiment with TV. And we found that to be really successful. We did an initial test for 6 weeks to sort of get our targeting right in 2022. And Kantar found it to be the most effective ad in April. We got 4% for smiles, which is one of our favorite statistics. But it was also then recognized by Marketing Week as one of the best marketing campaigns of 2022, alongside giants like Netflix and Boots and McDonald's. So again, a real legitimizing moment for us as a brand. And this is the ad, which is a spoof on Bridgerton.
My dears, I'm in a bloody mess.
Servant problems?
No, you know, bloody mess, down there.
My dear, have you not tried these? They're 100% organic cotton, no synthetic fibres, dyes or fragrances.
And I hear 5% goes to menstrual charities.
And they're compostable, so the gardener can bury them in your rose bush.
Brandy's in the smoking room.
Flo, no more period dramas.
Thanks, guys. I never get tired of seeing that. Yeah, so this play on sort of like the male stigma around periods was really fun and tongue-in-cheek. But we were, of course, tasked to then bring that period drama into real life. And shout out to my senior marketing manager here, Laura. She brought Tara and I's dream come true by making giant versions of our products and putting them in the store window on Kensington High Street at Whole Foods. So again, sort of leveraging those retail relationships to bring that vision to life. And again, Marketing Week sort of recognized us as one of the top activations for International Women's Day last year. So that was exciting. And then also sort of bringing it to the streets, we use fly posting to just paint London pink. And again, sort of challenge that shame and stigma. We also did a YouGov survey where we asked people what their experience was with leaking, whether it was in a partner's bed or on a towel, and then blasted it across all of London. And so even this one here in Hackney is just up the street on Shoreditch High Street, but it was fun to sort of bring that into real life. And then finally, we partnered with Led by Donkeys to send this giant hot pink trunk around central London. We again reached out to our Flo Babes and asked them to share their period dramas, chose our favorites and gave them a year's worth of period care, and then just sent that around central London, which was great. Always challenging stigma, making people laugh. So while this was really fun, what we care about as marketers as well is knowing how that translates to effectiveness and to sales. And so a bit on the results here. So Sky did a survey for us post the ad, and we got these amazing results. So 1 in 3 that saw the advert recalled having seen Flo, and 1 out of 4 who hadn't seen it had known of Flo. So that was incredible uplift in brand awareness. It really sort of separated us from our green competitive set, but more importantly, helped us get closer to the big boys, which is sort of the goal of becoming that mainstream plant-based alternative. And then in terms of sales, translating there, by the end of 2023, out of all the eco brands, our pads had driven the highest value growth without grocery presence, and that's really significant because 70% of sales for our category grows through grocery. So that is an incredible result for us.
Well, actually, that chart, if we just go back, is one of my favorite charts. So the brand awareness one post the advert was really important, right? Because first of all, Sky did that survey for us before and after the ad spend, like with a year apart. So it was amazing to see, like, a year later after winning, we had this really high brand awareness, especially compared to the eco competition, but also to see, like, you know, how far up the big boys are and how far away we were from them. So that was amazing. But this chart's really important for us because as a challenger brand in consumer, one of your hardest obstacles is getting into retail. And that's what we really cared about. And we weren't quite ready from a funding perspective, from how many products we had and so on, to enter mainstream grocery at the same time that the competition did, the Eco Challenger brand competition did. And then that kind of locked us out for years, and that was so difficult. COVID locked us out too, but it was also because right before COVID, all the grocers had taken someone else. And so that made it really challenging for us. And yet, what we kept doing in the background is kept growing with our existing retail base, which at the time was still fantastic. I mean, it was Boots, Hon & Barrett, Ocado, WH Smith, and Superdrug, but 70% of the category revenue, as Susan said, was in grocery. So we were missing the big money. And the awareness and so on. So where we had to grow was in our existing retail base, and also on digital channels, which are not captured in these kinds of things. This is Nielsen, essentially IRI, Nielsen data. So this is a really special thing for us because we spent years, and then what all the grocers saw is, wow, they're driving more in sales through the other, like, you know, yeah, exactly, like through 15% of category revenue channels than our existing brands are driving in the channels where they're supposed to be 70% of the revenue. So essentially they were like, if we bring them in, they will drive way more sales for us than the current brand. So that's something that's, over the past year, we've had a lot of these positive conversations. We launched with Tesco earlier in the year. We're launching with, I don't know if we're allowed to announce it. We're launching with another big grocer at the end of this month, which will soon be announced.
Watch this space.
Watch this space. Yeah. But it's really because we just, in the background, we kept building the brand in all the scrappy, creative ways that Susan mentioned. And meanwhile, we're like, just make the brand work in the retailers where we are and use digital and other channels and so on to scoop up revenue as well. And then now things are starting to open up.
Awesome. And now we have a few tips and takeaways from today's Prezi. So the first is really about knowing your customer, speaking their language, showing up where they are, but really keeping an element of surprise and delight. So it's not exactly how they expect you to. Tampons in an ice cream tub, very confusing for people, but that little is an opportunity for a conversation, and that's been so successful for breaking and challenging that shame and stigma, which is exactly what we want to do, which goes to the second point of knowing yourself and your purpose, and then getting very good at communicating it super simply, because the better and easier you're able to explain it, the better you're able to bring people along on the journey. So it's accessible, affordable, adorable products. It's funny, feminist, and fierce tone of voice. Just being able to explain that helps people to get on board with what you're doing. Authenticity is queen. We're all about queens in the Fempire. But that's just important for us, just making sure that you're operating with integrity in everything that you're doing, and having that really, keeping that conversation with your customer basically is the key to staying relevant and growing together. In terms of marketing, be fearless, be flexible, be fast, but above all, be consistent. And that comes back to that point about making sure you're remaining true to the brand. Be willing to experiment. If I kind of think of marketing as the IG wall of posts, not everything is going to go viral, but for me it's important that everything is really consistent with the brand and tells that brand story. And then the last one, tiny budgets. While it's a pain for us as marketers, I often encourage the team of saying, well, we've never had a big budget, and look at what we've achieved. So really viewing that as a big opportunity for creativity, it forces you to think about, well, what other things can you do uniquely that is of value to these larger brands that they can't do, and really helping them to understand the value of that to get you a good deal and do partnerships with them as well. So really viewing that as an opportunity for creativity. And that is all we have for you today. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. Profit margin's not something I'm going to mention. Nice try. Can you imagine? I'm like, here's our P&L. No, that's a great question. And, you know, when we say affordable, accessible, and adorable, the affordability is always such a pain point because plant-based products just cost so much more. Like, our tampons cost us a disgusting amount to make, and therefore, like, even the price that we sell them at, it's like we make like very little money on them. Actually, and it's not just an us problem. Even if you look at the big producers, tampons for some reason are just a really costly product to make. However, luckily, most of the market is pads and liners. So if we look at pads and liners, for example, at Tesco we sell a pack of 14 night pads for £3.50. And always, a pack of 14 night pads costs about, I think, £3.25. £3.20. So it is more expensive, but about, I think it's around 15 to 20 pence different. We were also really lucky that the idea for Here We Flow came when we were doing our master's dissertation. So we had a lot of time to do market research. So we did consumer research, focus groups, third-party market research. Mintel and Kantar and Niels, those guys were our best friends. And we got to do a lot of pricing analysis. And we found that people were really keen to get a more sustainable product that was better for the planet and better for their bodies and willing to pay more for it. And within sort of like around a 30% price difference, which is great because we'd love to price it the same as conventional. Like, that would be my dream, to make it that accessible. But it's just too difficult when you're insisting on using regenerative and organic and all of that. So one of our big goals is how do we just keep scaling, get economies of scale in all of our supply chain so we can keep prices and make things more affordable for all people.
Thank you. Do we probably have time for one more question, if there's any more questions before we go to our next panel? I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.